Hello teacups, what's brewing? Man, have we got some things to talk about. So, a few days ago, I finished work and I was like, oh, I'll check YouTube. I had a little notification up. I saw that Chantal had put up a Wendy's mukbang and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go react to that real quick. It looked like a standard mukbang. Came upstairs, it was a lovely day, it was snowing. In case anybody is wondering, this is the setup you are currently perched on. This is our catch-all room for books we've had for yonks that we never read, that we don't want to throw away. And look at the snow outside, everybody. Just started raining today. I really hope it rains enough to wash away the thinner bits, because otherwise it's going to freeze solid and I'm just going to slip over and die tomorrow. I have my best Bog Witch makeup on. Makeup today, if I can get it to show. I'm not sure I can. But the mattes that go around are the Hasina 2 palette by Blush Tribe, which unfortunately has now closed down. And I've got Color Cosmetics. They've got multi-chromes. It's always very hard to get it on camera, but this is a kind of a green-purple shift. But I'm liking it very much. I promise you in person, it's more pronounced. I was feeling good. Then I opened her Wendy's mukbang. And I recorded my react. And in the react, throughout it, I was like, something seems off. She's trying really, really hard to be very benign. She's not being confrontational. She's not being disgusting in any way. If there were a playbook for an influencer mukbang, it was a paint by numbers. She had her intro, she had the music behind, she didn't do anything disgusting on camera. The hallmarks of her mukbangs were not there. This was very much by the book. And during that react, I mentioned I was confused and something seemed to be going on and things were off. And then I checked Twitter and holy God, had I missed some things. Apparently that notification was not for the Wendy's mukbang. It was for the live stream that she had done at some point while I was either sleeping or working and then immediately deleted. I went to try and find an archive. There was about a 19-minute archive available, but the rest wasn't. And then a little bit later, the full thing came out. So thank you so much for the people on the farms who archived it. It was very useful. This is the problem I have with Chantal's channel in general. If it weren't for people archiving her crap and taking pictures and all the community around her channel, you simply wouldn't know what she's like. What she chooses to leave on her channel is very different than what she initially presents. And something else you should be aware of, which you all probably are, I am really late with this react, guys. It took a while. She deleted a whole host of videos off her channel, I think before going live, but certainly around that time. Presumably to adjust the picture that she's presenting. Okay, so that's the premise of this. So I came in and guys, it was 4 hours long. I cannot. It's taken me a few days to edit this down into something reactable because I don't want to sit here for 4 hours with you guys. No offense, not again. So what I've done is I went through and watched it and basically it went to a few different paths. The first path she was going on was really talking about the intuitive eating, her health, her binging. That's like 2 to 3 strands of the conversation. So I've put together clips of that are pretty much representative of what she was saying in the live. She does tend to meander and come back around. I know the feeling, I do it myself. But rather than kind of go through it, say the things, have her come back to it, say the same things, I've just condensed it down into some clips. The second strand of conversation she was really having was her rant about life by Jen. Yeah, I'm sure you all know about it by now, but we'll go into it. I've got a little bit on sort of her reaction, not necessarily in this order, but her reaction to her audience, to the people who were in the live, her thoughts about haters in general, or what she deems to be a hater versus what she deems to be a loyal subscriber. And then just a few little tidbits about her life that she dropped while in this live. So we're going to be looking at those strands of what happened, and hopefully that will cover more or less my thoughts without being 4 hours long in and of itself. That being said, this intro is getting into it. So,
You know, I'm so sick of seeing in my recommended when I click on my own video somebody reacting to my intuitive tacos or my intuitive eating. Like, are you
she hates all reaction channels at the best of times. Her intuitive eating, if that's what we can actually call this, has attracted a lot of attention because the way she's dealing with it has been utterly ridiculous. And I say that as someone who doesn't have all the information about intuitive eating. I understand that my knowledge is limited, but anyone with basic common sense would look at what she's doing and be like, nah, man, that ain't right.
an expert? Are you my nutritionist? Are you my doctor? No.
Surely
And
not.
yes, tacos can be part of intuitive eating. So
They absolutely can be. But if you look at the range of fast food she's put in her face over the last few days, last week, I don't know how long it's been exactly, the combined parts of all of this are really, we're adding this up to a big picture that doesn't really make sense. So taken as an individual, no, but as with anything, taken in context of the rest of the stuff you're showing us, I've got some issues with it.
in case you didn't know, the 10 principles of intuitive eating, let's just go through them quickly, okay?
Please share.
Number 1, reject the diet mentality. And you have to keep in mind that I know I keep going back and forth between wanting to do health stuff and mukbanging.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find a balance with this, my own health journey, and still doing some food content that is enjoyable.
Her idea of what's enjoyable might be what's tripping her up here. The idea that you can have a healthy lifestyle that, whatever you may deem a healthy lifestyle, that brings you closer to your goals of better health, let's say. Let's not say losing weight, although losing weight is clearly going to be a part of her achieving better health. She's got a lot of other issues she could focus on, where losing weight might just be incidental to her focusing on those health issues and health concerns, and serious health concerns at that. But her idea of enjoyable is really just hammering fast food, really. She has some other content I enjoy. Her time warps I love. I've always said that. I love her time warps. She keeps promising me one and not delivering, but I love her time warps. So she could do content, but she could do content if she had to around food that's helping her to achieve those goals and how she's changing her diet to reflect the health concerns she has. And she could get an audience for that. She's had an audience when she's tried that previously. But it's not what she deems pleasurable. And so long as she's clinging to that idea, so long as she's clinging to the concept that she can involve herself so centrally in a channel where her content is not healthy food, she's going to have no way to balance that in her life. She goes too far on video to be able to balance it. And she's tried before, but she's simply not going to be able to do it.
My ways of eating are not very conventional.
For a
and that's
reason.
just, I think that's just how it's just going to be for me, and I have to try to find ways around it. And
There is a reason her ways are not conventional, and there's a reason there isn't a way around it, and that's because it doesn't work.
anyway,
Anyway,
so that being said,
let's move on.
reject the diet mentality. Throw out the diet books and magazines, articles that offer you false hope of losing weight quickly, easily, and permanently. Get angry at adult diet culture that promotes weight loss and the lies that have led you to feel as if you were a failure every time a new diet stopped working.
To be clear, you are a failure in many of the diets you have tried. Should you necessarily be stuck to those diets? No. I do think that the way this is worded, and I am taking this purely on the contents page that she's clearly reading, that it focuses more on people who really heavily restrict their calories and go down to limits that are not sustainable and healthy. And sometimes that does apply to her, not so much restricting her calories too deeply, but sometimes she does do really restrictive diets. The high vibrational food diet, the veganism, which is very hard to stick to. I'm not saying you can't be vegan and have a lovely full relationship with food, a lovely full variety of food, but she has not been capable of it in the past. It's not a kick at veganism. But she has tried the potato diet, I think she mentions in this live. she's tried diets before that are massively restrictive and then she couldn't stick to. But because they were unrealistic fad diets, for the most part, I'm not calling veganism that. Don't come down for me in the comments. You know. But that could be an excellent point to make. But having a diet that's not too restricted doesn't mean that you should never restrict in any way. Yeah, there's a balance to restriction that will allow her to lose weight, and she's still finding it, and that's fine. But to say, therefore, I will never restrict and I will always gorge myself on whatever I feel like is not the same as saying don't be overly restrictive, in my mind.
And you gain back all of the weight. If you allow even one small hope to linger that a new and better diet or food plan might be lurking around the corner, it will prevent you from being free to rediscover intuitive eating.
She is treating intuitive eating as a diet, and I don't believe in intuitive eating at all. Not for me. For some people. Not for me, not for her. Our relationship with food is too fucked up. Our intuition says eat. Maybe that would change if she were hardcore doing this, but much like any diet she's ever done, she's not hardcore doing this.
And that is so hard to get out of because I still want to do this whole cycle thing.
You're
and
still
when,
doing
that's
the
why
whole
I delete
cycle
comments
thing.
like that because, and it's driving me nuts. And I feel like I just right now I can't share this stuff because when I see comments like, "Oh, you're cycling again. You're a diet failure," it fucking triggers me. Okay. So, and I know it's the internet and it shouldn't, but that's why I delete people like that because I don't want to hear that negative bullshit. Honor your hunger. Number 2. This is not just for haters.
Her favorite thing.
Like, there's people who are non-haters, but who are just like, they don't understand intuitive eating or people who react to what I'm eating, who don't consider themselves haters. I feel like people just think that I'm like this intuitive eating expert and...
Nobody thinks that. Jesus. Nobody thinks that. Honor your hunger based on the small amount I've seen. And again, not an expert, not pretending to be one. As far as I understand it, honor your hunger is recognizing and acknowledging, I am hungry right now. Why am I hungry right now? Is it physical hunger? Is there a reason I want a thing? Am I feeling an emotion that's making me want something? Because something she's always struggled with, something I've always struggled with, is trying to fill a mental void with a physical item. And that's something a lot of people who eat themselves into obesity sometimes struggle with. Saying, I have this emotion, I have this psychological feeling. And so I'm gonna fill whatever it's making me feel with food. But it's a mental hole, not a physical one. If that makes sense at all.
I know, like, eating a whole bunch of tacos is not, it's not that it's not intuitive eating. It's people, like, are just making up definitions of it. A
whole bunch of tacos probably isn't intuitive eating. Because if you take a basic idea of, okay, I'm going crazy, I want these tacos, rather than go crazy, have a taco. But she never does that. Her idea of portions is insane. So she won't have a taco, she'll have multiple tacos. So is that really saying, okay, I acknowledge I have a craving, nothing's getting out of it, I want this thing, have a small amount of this thing? In terms of moderate eating, I suppose, which is also a thing I've always struggled with and never been able to do, for better or for worse, and something I don't think she's ever been able to do, for better or for worse. Her idea of what she's doing and what it's saying to do and what it should be saying to do, and all these elements don't seem to be connecting.
Blaming me for doing that, and I'm not. Number 2, honor your hunger. Keep your body biologically...
Apparently, I missed editing in that little clip, so it's got the black lines around. Apologies, I took it from the archive and I thought I'd cut it all down.
With adequate energy and carbohydrates. Otherwise, you can trigger a primal drive to overeat.
Put a pin in that edge on the word carbohydrates because it comes into the argument with Jen later. But yes, don't eliminate major food groups if you are struggling with binge eating because it's going to make you want those groups. That's a completely reasonable thing to say.
Once you reach the moment of excessive hunger, all intentions of moderate, conscious eating are fleeting and irrelevant.
That's true.
Learning to honor this biological signal sets the stage for rebuilding trust in yourself and in food.
Okay.
Make peace with food. Number 3.
Oh, sorry guys, I don't think I mentioned, because I cut this all through the live stream, there might be moments where she's responded to a comment which has taken off on a tangent that I'm going to deal with in a different conversation thread. So if it looks like she's changing her emotions quite a lot because maybe she's raged before it, if she stops and looks at something and then comes back, I'll have cut it and that's why it's there. All the pieces I've got here are in chronological order, but they're not necessarily next to each other. It might be she talked about this an hour in the live stream and then she talked about it again at hour 3. So if it looks a bit disjointed, that's why.
Call it true. Stop the food fight. Give yourself unconditional permission to eat. If you tell yourself that you can't or shouldn't have a particular food, it can lead to intense feelings of deprivation that build into uncontrollable cravings and often binging. When you finally give in to your forbidden foods, eating will be experienced with such intensity, it usually results in Last Supper, overeating, and overwhelming guilt. Challenge the food police. Scream aloud no to thoughts in your head that declare you're good for eating minimal calories or bad because you ate a piece of chocolate cake. The food police
You should not attribute morality to food. I 100% agree. You can say, okay, these are the things I'm attempting to address. Let's take her weight out of it. Because like I said, her weight's only one element of the things that she has to address in immediate fashion. Her liver disease is one of the priorities at the moment. Her breathing is related to her blood clots, and it doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily a result of her obesity, but the pressure of her obesity on her body is probably not helping that situation. She's got diabetes, well, we'll talk about the diabetes in a little bit, but definitely pre-diabetes. So those things that she's addressing or should be addressing, those things you can eat for. You can say that will be detrimental to this health issue. That's not assigning morality to food. That's not saying this food is bad and I am a bad person for eating it. It's saying this food is not helpful for my health issue, and if I eat it, I'm going to exacerbate that issue.
Monitor the unreasonable rules that diet culture has created. The police station is housed deep in your psyche, and its loudspeaker shouts negative barbs, hopeless phrases, and guilt-provoking indictments.
Saying don't hammer fast food while you've got fatty liver is not an unreasonable thing or a barb.
And so do people on the internet. Chasing
the
food police away is a critical step in returning to intuitive eating. Number 5, discover the satisfaction factor. The Japanese have the wisdom to keep pleasure as one of their goals of healthy living. In our compulsion to comply with diet culture, we often overlook one of the most basic gifts of existence, the pleasure and satisfaction that can be found in the eating experience. When you eat what you really want in an environment that is inviting, the pleasure you derive will be a powerful force in helping you feel satisfied and content. But
do we feel she does that? I lived in Japan for 3 years, and the way they present food is beautiful. Yeah, I can completely believe, I haven't heard that before, but I can completely believe that that is the case. You can focus on the quality, on the beauty of food, and you can focus on it as you eat and appreciate it. Now, she is obviously reading that as, I will eat any food I find pleasurable, which I don't necessarily think is the same thing. But do we feel she does that as she sits in front of her camera? Is she focusing on the food? Is she focusing on her enjoyment? Or is she just hammering through it because one of the things she enjoys is eating large quantities?
providing this experience for yourself, you will find that it takes just the right amount of food for you to decide you've had enough. Feel your fullness. In order to honor your fullness, you need to trust that you will give yourself the foods that you desire. Listen for the body signals that tell you that you are no longer hungry. Observe the signs that show that you're comfortably full. Pause in the middle of eating and ask yourself how the food tastes and what you're...
Again, does she do this as she's sitting mukbanging? Or does she eat the food that she's got on camera because she's mukbanging? Does she focus on the camera and not the food because she's mukbanging? She's making videos. This is one of the reasons that videos will not, unless she, I suppose, vlogs the journey, I don't see how mukbang videos can factor into a healthy life for her. She just has too much tied into them.
Your current hunger level is. Cope with your emotions with kindness. First, recognize that food restriction, both physically and mentally, can in and of itself trigger loss of control, which can feel like emotional eating. Find kind ways to comfort, nurture, distract, and resolve your issues. Anxiety, loneliness, boredom, and anger are emotions we all experience throughout life. Each has its own trigger, and each has its own appeasement.
Yes. For the record, food isn't supposed to be that appeasement, even though she's using food as that appeasement. Recently, she had that mukbang where she was like, I'm stressed, and didn't really tell us what she was stressed about, but she was clearly eating her emotions, or eating because of her emotions. This is one of the things I think this tenant is supposed to address, saying, okay, what am I feeling? What is a kinder way to myself than gorging on this food to help me deal with this feeling? The door here doesn't stay closed, and if you can hear a sound like the screams of the bowels of hell coming up to claim us, it's Lando and Sadie playing tag or hide and seek or something.
Food won't fix any of these feelings. It may comfort for the short term, distract from the pain, or even numb you, but food won't solve the problem. If anything, eating for an emotional hunger may only make you feel worse in the long run.
Yep.
You'll
So no
ultimately have to
McDonald's.
deal with the source of your emotion, and that's what I'm definitely, yeah, I do that sometimes. We all, realistically, a lot of people do that, you know.
Realistically, we absolutely do. God knows I have. So this is something she clearly struggles with a lot. I'm not saying she should have all the answers right now, but a little bit of recognition that the things she's been doing over the past week, bear in mind this live stream went on for 4 hours of just pure rage. Maybe that's something you should look at as a cause for your eating a lot more.
Oh, you turn to something else to try to fix it.
Yeah.
To try to self-medicate, you know, and I'm hoping that therapy will help with that.
I hope so too.
Respect your body. Accept your genetic blueprint. Just as a person with a shoe size of 8 would not expect to realistically squeeze into a size 6, it is equally futile and uncomfortable to have a similar expectation about body size.
Yep.
But mostly respect your body so you can feel better about who you are. It's hard to reject the diet mentality if you are unrealistic and overly critical of your body size or shape.
Very true. For her to expect to fit into a 0 or a size 2, even if she were wildly successful with her weight loss, might be unrealistic of where she is now and where she could be in the future, even if she were successful with weight loss. But that's not something she does to herself, I don't believe. Obviously, I'm not in her head, but I don't think that's an issue she's facing right now. It isn't that her expectations for her body and how she should look are unrealistic. But in terms of respect your body, when she hammers fast food and then she comes on to lives later and talks about how much her stomach hurts, she's running to the washroom, she feels awful, recognizing that the food is doing that to you, and so not partaking in the food would be a great way to respect your body and to respect your genetic blueprint, which apparently at the moment includes some pretty serious issues with the processing of food. Yeah? So treat yourself more kindly, don't put yourself through that. And it's obviously, all of this is easier said than done, but she's not making an attempt to do it.
Bodies deserve dignity. 9, movement, feel the difference. Forget militant exercise, just get active and feel the difference. Shift your focus to how it feels to move your body rather than the calorie burning effect of exercise. If you focus on how you feel from working out, such as energized, it can make the difference between rolling out of bed for a brisk morning walk or hitting the snooze alarm. 10, honor your health, gentle nutrition. Make food choices that honor your health and taste buds while making you feel good. Remember that you don't have to eat perfectly to be healthy. You will not suddenly get a nutrient deficiency or become unhealthy from one snack or meal or one day of eating. It's what you eat consistently over time that matters.
Progress, not perfection, is where she's going with the next bit. I think this is one of the biggest ones she struggles with. So what she's doing with this tenant is giving herself permission to eat everything. Because one snack, one meal, one thing, even if it actually is 3 meals in a mukbang, it's not going to ruin her. It's what you do consistently. But what she's not really acknowledging here is if we look back on what videos she has left on her channel, fast food is what she does consistently. And she will deny it till the cows come home because she's like, you don't know what I'm doing off camera. Which also put a pin in when we come to the Jen discussion. It's pretty clear what you're doing off camera, honey. Yeah? It's pretty clear. And we do see a lot of this. And this whole idea of eating around your mukbangs, you've tried before and it hasn't worked.
So those are, in a nutshell, the 10 principles of intuitive eating. And that's what I'm working on. And yes, I still struggle with it. No, sometimes when I eat, I'm not practicing intuitive eating.
Definitely.
Because it takes a lot of practice. And I'm still struggling with these principles.
Definitely. She doesn't, also, I don't think for a second she's finished reading whatever book she's gotten. She bought a book about this. She hadn't finished the first chapter when she started lecturing on it. I don't think she's finished the book. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the contents page. She's not known for finishing tasks she set herself. So I doubt at this point she's even finished, let alone working with someone. She's even finished really reading the book for herself. She just looked at the titles, looked at the intro and decided, this sounds good, I understand it, and moved on from there. I'm uncertain that the way she is, well, I'm not uncertain, I'm very certain that the way she is interpreting a lot of these tenets is not necessarily how they're supposed to be used. And even if she were using them correctly, I'm not sure, and this is as somebody who is kind of ignorant about what it means, I'm not sure this is going to work for her and her relationship with food and her health issues that she's facing. She does need to address those, and that will require structure. So I don't think this is a great approach for her.
So I hate when I see that this meal's not intuitive eating. Yes, cooking my own meals. I'm going to be doing a lot more cooking, but I'm going to be cooking things that
we haven't seen evidence.
That are satisfying, that I love, that I like. And sometimes I'm going to eat unhealthy, and I'm just not going to feel guilty about it,
Well, you're pretty
I'm just not going
about
to.
it.
I'm just going to move on, and that's it. Like, I'm just going to accept that. I'm trying to get out of that mentality that this is bad, this is good, this is bad, this is good. Because at the beginning, I do have health issues. No, the blood clots are not caused by my diet, says my doctor. I know that there's higher risk for people that are overweight and everything, but
that would be the thing. Not so much the higher risk of developing, although that may have contributed. She's been at a higher BMI for a long time. But there's very little chance that losing weight wouldn't make it better in some way. Taking the pressure off your body that having the fat presents can only help you in this.
Anyways, it's going to take time.
Yes,
and
definitely.
Realistically for me, this is just something I want to see through. If it helps get rid of the binges, if it helps me repair my relationship with food, I'm not looking for like a diet. I want to change my whole attitude. And
she's changing none of her attitude. This is something we have seen before. We have seen, and I keep saying that. Does anyone remember? She did another taco mukbang. I'm going to find the screenshot and I'm going to put it in. I'm not sure if it's still, I think it is still up on her channel. And she said, I can't control myself, but I'm just going to lean into it because I can't control myself, and I'm going to eat what I want on camera, and I'm going to try and fit the healthy around. And it didn't work. And later that day, although this video is not still up on her channel, I did react to it. You can check back in mine. I'll put a picture of it up. Later that day, she did a night live stream where she was like, okay, so I ate that, and that was like 1900 calories. And then I binged, and I went to Dairy Queen, and I went to McDonald's, and I just got so much food, and she was really struggling. And that's no longer up on her channel because it's detrimental to the argument she's making here, which I imagine is why she deleted a lot of that. That one she deleted at the time, but I imagine that's why she's deleted a lot of the videos she's deleted, because she doesn't want people going, that doesn't match up with what you said before, or the things you're saying that you face. And so that's why if you only ever look at her channel, you only ever get half of the conversation.
Relationship with food. Yes, you can have tacos and still be eating intuitively. If your body says that if you want tacos, you're really craving tacos, I guess you could try to make them healthier. You know, like a taco from Taco Bell is 200 calories, you know?
Yeah, a taco, if it's 200 calories, let's say it is, did you eat a taco? Or did you eat, what was it, a ton of nachos and was it 2 or 3 tacos? Like, did you get a bit of what you were craving or did you get a full out meal and just go for it? Because I think it was the latter.
If you're really, really craving it and it will prevent you from binging on Taco Bell, then get a couple tacos. You know what I mean? And
Again, we've now gone from a taco to a couple of tacos, but that's not what she ate. I think she ate like 3 versions of either tacos or something, and then she had those nachos on the side. But this mentality, I was briefly in Zach Pulpy Syntax, his live when he was trying to edit down this mess, and I did notice today he uploaded like a 3.5 hour react, and Godspeed, good sir. But I haven't had a chance to watch it yet because I've been dealing with this. But he was saying something in it about, okay, so to avoid a binge, I had a binge. And I know she hates the word binge, but that's the mentality here, you know, like, well, if it's going to prevent me from eating all the tacos, I should eat all the tacos. And I'm like, no. If you'd had one taco and said, okay, it's 200 calories, I'm going to eat it, and then I'm going to be able to move on with my life. Okay, that's 200 calories, but what you're doing is eating entire meals that are quite high calorie, even if you can handle that kind of calorie count. And then you're saying, well, I ate all of it, so I wouldn't eat all of it. And that doesn't make sense.
I did that. It was a video too, you know, so
And there's
they
the
haven't been
justification.
binges, Blondie.
Before we get into this, there's a justification again. Surely that goes entirely against intuitive eating. And this is how, when she says, I don't binge, it's because in her brain she goes, that was for a video. And therefore the binge becomes 1, justified, and 2, recategorized. So for her, she's not lying. When she says it's not a binge, she genuinely believes that because it was for a video. But if she's justifying eating because she's filming it, then that's nothing to do with her intuitions.
Blue, they're not binges. You don't know me. You don't know my eating disorder. You don't know what a binge is for me. And I take a personal offense to that because you don't know what a binge is.
Fuck off with your personal offense. You know why we think you're binging? I'm sorry to get angry here, right? This is something that irritated me. Even with her sterilizing her channel with this, I went back because she has the object permanence of a newborn. So if she can't see it, it doesn't exist. And she's a little bit lazy, so she doesn't go through and properly scrub her videos. They're old videos now. Let's just acknowledge that. They are old videos now. But the reason we think, and I am a loyal subscriber, I've been with you for years. I may not just always blow smoke up your ass, but I've been with you for years. And the reason we think we know what a binge is because, and I'll put them up on screen, you still, even after clearing your videos, have thumbnails that claim binge eating. And those are just the ones that you've put in the thumbnails. That's not counting all the times you have come on camera and you have cried, or you've been upset, or you've said, I'm logging off, and I'll put that in as well, like I'm logging off and getting help. You've discussed your food addiction, you've discussed your binging, not excessively because it's your channel and there's nothing excessive about that, but many times on your channel. So when we say, hey, you labeled this a binge, as you did, you appear to still be doing this, you appear to have a lot of problems with the result of what you're doing mentally and physically, and you saying, well, it's a video, so it doesn't count as a binge, doesn't really add up, then don't be surprised that we come in with that vernacular. You introduced it into the conversation. And because we can look at it and say, well, your behavior here seems very similar to your behavior here, and you labeled this a binge, don't be shocked because we're getting the information from you.
I've never, ever binged a full binge on camera.
Then stop
ever.
labeling things binges.
A binge, I wouldn't even be allowed to put that video on YouTube, guarantee. They don't want to people talking about their problems like that.
The earlier video I linked, the live stream, post binging, I think I put in my thumbnail, like that was talking about it. She did take that down. And yeah, YouTube doesn't like it because YouTube doesn't like supporting harmful behavior. And that's another reason she's been scrubbing her videos. Why she hasn't gone back further, I don't know. But she just, when we use the phrase binge, it's because you've used the phrase binge. So once you've introduced that, and we come back and we go, hey, you still seem to be doing this, and then you get angry because you've decided, oh, this is threatening to me, this behavior is threatening my channel, even though it's your behavior, and therefore I never want it acknowledged, and if you acknowledge it, you're a hater and you're not a loyal subscriber. That's where the problems arise, yeah?
So honestly, if you want to hear what a real binge is like, it's not, that Wendy's meal I had is not a binge. That was nothing. That was, 1,400 calories. But you know what? That's all I had.
Oh, hang on. No, let's continue.
Today. I didn't have the salmon. Pete's did. And the leftovers are right here.
Oh, congratulations. So when you want to justify food, you're calorie counting. When you're eating the food, you're intuitively eating it. Which one are you choosing? Because they are definitely mutually exclusive. If you're intuitively eating, you shouldn't be calorie counting. If you're calorie counting, you shouldn't be intuitive eating. So you'll pick and choose and cherry pick when it's useful to you, when you want to make an argument, but not when you're doing it? No.
For him tomorrow. I don't feel like eating it because that meal was very filling. It was 1,400 calories.
Yep.
And
calories that you're not counting.
More than that, okay?
Allowed to eat? I thought the whole point of intuitive eating is you give yourself permission to eat everything. What's with allowed? Why do calories matter?
I'm not talking about the people, my respectful viewers, Blondie Blue. I got mad at you because you're saying that that's a binge, and it's not. You don't know.
I got mad at you because I've used the word binge, and I still have labels of binges, and the excessive amount of food I eat would, to anybody with eyes, appear to be a binge, a topic that I've discussed extensively, I have a problem with. So how dare you come to those conclusions?
My eating disorder. So yeah, that triggers me when people say this is a binge just because it's unhealthy food.
Well, the truth hurts, sweetheart.
Eating unhealthy, there's overeating, and then there's binging.
All of those are true.
Binge eating is so much more than just what you put in your mouth. It's a whole shitstorm of things going on. There's a whole bunch of like negative emotions. There's shame. There's guilt.
Yep.
There's just wanting to hurt your body with food.
And wanting to hurt everything else with food. So when you put up that McDonald's breakfast mukbang, when you were really angry because you'd said some shit that people were holding you accountable for, and you were shoving it in, you had the whole menu there, that was a binge. That's why you deleted it, aside from the fact that the stuff you were discussing was very problematic. So to say you don't binge on camera, yeah, pull the other one. It's simply not true. You don't classify what you do on camera as binging because it's on camera. And the reason you put it on camera is because then you can justify that it's not binging. It's all a cycle you go around.
Basically. It's a form of self-harm, just like overeating to that point. And
it can be, but it can be other things.
Sometimes people overeat in general, and it happens, you know.
It does happen. But when it happens with you, when you are filled with rage and you constantly go for McDonald's, well, okay, that's maybe a pattern there. It can be all the things you're saying. It can also be other things. And she's very, very shuttered in her view when it comes to how this applies to her behavior.
It's like, it's a human thing. It happens.
Yep.
And we're meant to enjoy food. So
yep.
Just because I have issues with food doesn't mean that I have to avoid any pleasure with food at all.
That's true. That's absolutely true. But the issue is that you generally think the only way food can be pleasurable is when it's large quantities of junk. And that is something you need to start looking at. Food can be completely pleasurable in more reasonable quantities of different kinds. You can learn to appreciate different kinds of food. And that's something you're not there yet. Let's put it like that. You're not there yet. But the idea that the only pleasurable food is the huge amount of crap you eat on camera, that is a problem.
Because that's just completely going against human nature. Yeah,
your
I need to
nature.
just not justify myself,
And yet here you are.
anymore. So, and fatty liver, fatty liver, fatty liver, fatty liver, fatty
Yep.
liver. That's why I'm not sharing my health with anybody anymore. Because the minute
Because everyone holds me accountable. God forbid anyone should be concerned that my fatty liver might kill me.
you say something, people like just hold that against you all the time.
Hold
Like I
against, hold
said,
accountable.
diagnosed with fatty liver
Yep,
does
you are.
not mean that your eating disorder just, oh, you have fatty liver? Bye.
It absolutely doesn't. Your eating disorder and your fatty liver as a physical ailment are completely unconnected. Now, the extent to which you've eaten has affected your physical body, and therefore it's connected in that way. But whether your eating disorder goes away or not, because of course it's not going to, if you have fatty liver, that is a sign that regardless of your eating disorder, you now have to make changes. So something you really work with your therapist and with your dietitian is trying to balance those two things. You've chosen, instead of addressing the extremely imminent health conditions you face, you've chosen to take the slow path in addressing the eating disorder. And at the moment, given the risks you're at, they should be a lot more closely intertwined.
It doesn't work like that for everybody. Not everybody who's overweight has an eating disorder, okay? Some people can just cold turkey, that's it for them. But there's no one size fits all mold for everybody.
That's true.
Okay? So
That's true.
um
I just don't want you to drop dead while addressing the other things. Please be more sympathetic to what you're facing.
I think as long as I lose weight, it's not only what I eat, it's as long as I lose some weight, it will improve.
No, not necessarily. Losing weight would be massively beneficial to your body in a physical sense. But the quality of what you eat, whether you gain weight or not, whether you maintain weight or not, the quality of what you eat and the content of what you eat is having an effect on your diabetes and on your liver. And those are the two major concerns right now.
It's just like I've seen like a video like, oh, her intuitive tacos.
Yep.
Like, you don't know anything about intuitive eating.
Neither do you.
You don't know anything.
Neither do
like,
you.
Has your eating of fast food reduced in those 3 weeks? Yeah, it has. It's starting to sink in that I don't have to rush and eat all the fast food in one day.
Why are you doing it then? Because she's still doing that.
I just, I'll get to eat it again. It's not the end of the world. And I crave homemade foods. Like,
Really?
like having a smoothie or something even homemade is a big progress. Blondie, you offended me with saying that those were binges, so that's why I replied to you. I didn't mean to be offensive to you.
Yes, you did. We'll go into how she was treating the people in her chat after this, but you definitely did mean to be offensive.
I was offended that I'm sick of people dictating what a binge is when it's my eating disorder. They are not binges. You don't know anything. So just because somebody is thinner doesn't mean that they're healthier by consuming a lot more fast food than I consume.
That's true. There are thinner mukbangers that consume a lot of food, consume an extreme amount of food. Doesn't make them healthy, doesn't make you healthy. Just because you could be doing worse doesn't mean what you're doing is good. And that's something, well, I could have done this. Yes, but what you did was still a lot.
Because I don't even consume a lot compared to other mukbangers.
But compared to the world, you consume a lot.
What I like, how much I want to eat, I think is enough. I'm not going to undereat either because then I just want to binge later.
You want to binge regardless, so why not maybe take care of your body?
Would binge Wendy's, I would get 2 things of nuggets, spicy chicken sandwich, junior bacon cheeseburger, 2 things of chili cheese nachos, baked potato. Like I would just eat like everything on the menu. I mean, I take.
So that was basically it. Everything she was talking about with intuitive eating and binging. She goes back and forth about it in the live stream. She goes back around to the topic, but it's mainly repeating those points. So let's move on.
Some responsibility for like opening that up because I did share my health problems, and people, when they know you have health problems, they scrutinize and like use a magnifying glass on you. like, you're eating too many carbs today. Better watch that fatty liver, you know?
Yeah. Hey, you've got to major. This is about her response to her audience. Her audience being the people in the chat, being the haters, being the community at large. Yes, when you come on camera majorly concerned saying, I went to the emergency room because I have these major problems, and then you show up eating Wendy's or eating tacos or eating all the other crap you've eaten, people are going to say something. Don't be shocked.
Like, I'm just eating when I'm hungry, honestly.
Well,
and sometimes,
physically
a lot
hungry
of the time,
or mentally
actually,
hungry?
it's not that good. But even if I wanted to eat out 3 times.
So are you listening to your body? If it's not that good, why are you eating it? Because you feel like crap afterwards. We've seen you feel like crap afterwards. So are you intuitively eating if it feels bad to do?
A day, even if I have liver problems and I eat out 3 times a day, it's still not your business. Because
You put it online, it's our business. Done.
I'm not interested in a discussion or a debate.
Don't put it on YouTube.
Regards to what I'm doing or my health. Like I said, it's triggering and
turn off the comments. If you're insisting on putting it on YouTube, turn off the comments. Don't have the conversation. Have it be a performance. Possibly die on camera. I hope you don't. But have it be a performance until you can't handle it anymore. But if you put it on a social media, there is a social aspect. And that's as far as that goes.
And it makes me rethink of what I'm doing, like with my professionals, like with my therapist and stuff like that. It makes you feel like you know, like you're being scolded. And it's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to achieve.
Okay, so don't do that. Don't do that. Talk to your professionals, follow them, but don't expect your entire community around you to follow you with it with no complaints, because this is serious business and you're killing yourself.
So why are you here, Gabby? Like, why are you here? Get out of here. Like, why do people come here?
Now we've moved on to sort of how she's reacting to people in the live, because she was saying some shit. She was cussing people out.
To watch just to counter what I'm saying. Like, do you not have anything better to watch? If you don't like me, or you don't like what I do, or you don't believe what I say, go watch something else.
No, thank you.
And then you just have the loser trolls who just don't know anything. Just come in here for no reason. So
now, I should preface this with, she had a lot of trolls in her chat that night, and yeah, there are some people just there to call her chinny and move on, you know? And those are just hate watchers, yeah? But a lot of people come in, and given her comments to Jen, a lot of people come in with good intentions. Unless you offer unlimited support in every way, you're a hater. She has no in-between.
Bye. And just because I get paid for my videos doesn't mean I'm going to kiss people's ass when they don't deserve it. Sorry, I'm not like that. I never will be.
We know.
Nell, I've said a million times, I have a therapist. And that's the thing. I don't feel like I have to justify myself to anybody either.
Well, so you're sitting here doing it. If you don't feel the need, why do you do it?
Oh, this is the only video I'm doing of that, and then I'm so done with it.
Not true.
And like I said, I've just been deleting people who just leave negative comments about what I eat. People don't do that on skinny people's videos, you know.
I'm pretty sure they do when skinny people, whoever she's thinking of, eat very extreme amounts. Now, I do think that generally skinny people get less comment on it, because the physical negative impact that amount of food is taking on your body is less obvious when you're not visibly fat. Yeah? So I can 100% believe she gets more than they do. But if you are skinny, rightly or wrongly, people assume if you're skinny, it's because you've got some kind of balance in your life and you are balancing what you're doing on camera with something healthier behind the scenes. That's not always the case. People are not always healthy when they do this, which is why I kind of have a problem with mukbangs, whether people are fat or thin. But I'm invested in this, so there we go. But I can believe what she's saying is true, that she gets more hate, but she also gets more criticism because the physical detriment of what she's doing is obvious on her frame.
It's like, fat people have a right to eat whatever they want. You don't know what I see. You don't know what I eat. You don't count and measure everything I eat.
We see a lot of what you eat.
If you're here just to do that, you need a life. I'm sorry.
I've got a life.
Okay, another few words that are always overused by haters is delusional and gaslighting.
Somebody in my comments, please count how many times she uses the word delusional when she refers to Jen, just because I think it's interesting.
Which is exactly what haters do. They gaslight. Anyways,
Do you know
I'm
what
not going
that
to change
word
people's
means?
minds because most people are determined to misunderstand me or twist what I say or...
You're not going to change people's minds because most of what you say doesn't match your actions. And when people with basic reasoning see that, they're going to ask questions and you don't have a good answer because it doesn't make sense.
Whatever, you know, it's just how it's always going to be. So I'm just going to be blocking those people. Like I said, comments are being deleted if they're asshole comments.
Yeah.
I don't want...
What is an asshole comment in this case? Some of just the direct insults, yeah, block them. But an asshole comment is anything that doesn't support her.
I'm going to turn comments off because my loyal viewers to not have a place to comment, or you know what I mean? I want it to be a positive space, but I want people to, my loyal viewers who've been watching me forever and who do support me, to have a place to, you know, say what they want to say something nice.
Say something nice is not quite the same as say what they want to say. I'm a loyal viewer. I'm now here saying what I want to say. But, you know, if that's what you want, you can definitely block everybody else, but you're going to be doing it your whole life because you've got to understand that being on a social platform means that you're going to get a variety of opinions.
I'm not attacking my loyal viewers. I didn't attack anybody. Loyal viewers don't talk about diets and they don't, you know, they just like watch me. There's people who've been there from day one. I don't want to like ostracize them or prevent them from, you know what I mean? So
interesting.
I shouldn't have to get off the internet. I have a good audience who like my videos. So why should I have to get off the internet?
Because it's clearly driving you nuts. Because it's clearly detrimental to whatever health project you're currently on. Because you clearly can't handle it. Because whenever anything happens, you want a 4-hour ranting live.
So that more negativity can exist. Just because you're a viewer doesn't give you the right to speak about my disorder, Blondie Blue. It doesn't give you unlimited...
Well, more to say, it's not that it gives us the right, it's that we have the right regardless. You made it public, we are public. We get to talk about it. You don't have to like it, but we get to talk about it.
License to discuss things in my life and
we don't need
not me not be offended. I'm not allowed to be offended by somebody just because they're a viewer. They're like, well, we can't wait for your channel to get taken down because you're monetizing your eating disorder. No.
Again, I'm pretty sure I put them up before, but I'll put them in here if not. You have videos that discuss your eating disorder and they are monetized. Ergo, you are monetizing your eating disorder. Yeah? It may also be part of your life. It may also be part of what you're doing in your vlogs and your effect on the food and all of that. But basic fact, not opinion, fact. You have videos discussing your eating disorder and they are monetized.
I don't think so. I'm eating.
Well, you're wrong.
So for YouTube to say that fat people are not allowed to eat on camera, which is we're humans, we're eating a meal, is ridiculous and discrimination.
Again, no. YouTube is not saying you can't be fat on YouTube. YouTube is saying you cannot promote your disorder. If, like, for example, if you are an addict, you can't partake in your addiction while being on camera because it promotes the disorder. Now, there is a lot of grey lines there, but fortunately for them, you have labelled a lot of your videos addiction and binging. And if they were to go through the content of even the ones that aren't labelled that but discuss it, you are self-identified. So they don't need to prove it. They can just go by what you've said, which is one of the reasons she's privated a hell of a lot of her videos recently.
That would be taken to court so easily.
Which, yeah, take him to court. Dude, take him to court. I'd be here for it. I've been watching a lot of Emily D. Baker at the moment, which is going with the without a crystal ball stuff. Dude, please take them to court. I'm here for it. Jesus. But they don't need to prove it. Okay, take them to court. They don't need to prove it because you have proved it yourself. And you think privating or deleting those videos, you think they don't have copies of that? Like, they can check it. Come on now.
If they allow skinny people to do it, they have to do it elsewhere, you know? No. You're stupid, Hannah. I'm flagging your channel. You cause harm to yourself eating 24/7. You're an idiot. Goodbye. See, I mean, you can't, like, it's just futile explaining to people with, like, one brain cell. I'm sorry, but it's true. They just don't get it. They're just...
I have struggled to explain these things to you many times. I sympathize.
Dumb. How do you know? I am Bunny. Just because I'm not doing it in the way that I'm not getting better and the way people expect me to. It's very ignorant for somebody and presumptuous for somebody to be like that.
I don't think we're presuming anything that didn't come from things you've had on channel. But like I said, she has an issue with... When my little brother, my grown-up little brother, not the one that's currently screaming downstairs, was really little, was a toddler, and he was trying to hide, he would go and shut his head in a drawer, or he would put it behind a curtain, and the rest of his body would be sticking out ostrich style. But he firmly believed if he couldn't see, he couldn't be seen. And it took him a little while to get through that phase, and it was hilarious. But she's the same. You think, well, I deleted the video, and therefore, if it doesn't exist, it never existed, and therefore can't be part of this conversation. And it's simply not true.
Fuck off, Anne. That's my problem with reaction channels. They like react to every... They have a problem or something to say about every fucking thing I do.
Yeah, I do.
But then, do they not see the irony that you have such a problem with it, but you're like, that's how you're making your living? Is my content? Like...
This is another thing she presumes about us, that we're all making our living online because she does it, and therefore what she does must be the same as what everyone does. She eats massive amounts when she turns the camera off, and therefore we all must be doing that. She does this, and therefore it's true of the world. I don't make my living on YouTube. It's a hobby. It's nice to make money off of it, but it's a hobby. And one of the reasons I've been doing less videos just recently is because I've been at home and I've been prioritizing other things. And so I would never make my living off YouTube. And some people do and do it successfully, and more power to them. But it's just not reliable enough for me. So I would earn the money from a hobby. Great. I don't make my living off YouTube. There's no irony here. Why would I make my living off of this? It's not secure enough. And that's something, I don't know what she's going to do if YouTube ever dries up for her, because, dude, but I don't make my living off of this.
Hello?
Hello?
I'm toxic? How am I toxic? Let me
Exhibit
know.
A.
I'd like to know. Exactly. People just make shit up. What's that? Is that gaslighting, or
No.
just people just make shit up to fit their narrative? They cause this like false outrage.
Ooh, someone's been talking to people. Gaslighting is when people go out of the way to make you feel like what is true isn't true. Yeah, in its very basic terms. It's not what we're doing here. She's done that on occasion, but it's not what we're doing here. It's not false outrage when your behavior is problematic. Yeah? Any accountability is false outrage on our part. No, what you're doing, it has impact. And just because you've deleted it doesn't mean it never existed.
How am I toxic? I do my fucking videos.
That's how you're
toxic. I don't talk about anybody. Get the fuck out of here, Jimmy.
Excuse me.
Go twiddle your thumbs. Go do something else. They are trash. Trash people.
So, anyone who's currently supporting her, anyone who might be here just to watch her videos, anyone who has not yet separated into the two extremes, just be aware you're trash.
The reaction to us being on here is toxic. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get that. I don't care if I have feeders for fans. Why do people use that in a derogatory term? Like, I give a shit what somebody halfway across the world is jerking off to. Do I care?
Recently, there was a page that I believe was probably made by a troll, the same way, someone emailed her a while back pretending to be Charlie Gold. I think this page was made by a troll to cause ripples within the community, because inevitably some people pick it up and run with it without checking into it. I don't believe it was a real page. Whether she does do feeder work or not, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't particularly care. But the way she defends it sometimes, she go, no, but even if I did, God, and she does this a couple of times in the live stream. It's like, it doesn't entirely sound like you don't, but if she does, she does. It's just one of those things.
No. People are so ridiculous. Feederism. Eating a meal just because you're fat is feederism. Again, Google's your friend.
Eating a meal while making orgasm noise and letting it trail down your face like it's cum coming out of your mouth. That's where the line gets a little bit blurred, and you've done those things.
Oh, right, I'm a bigot. Yeah, okay. See, people just make up shit. They're just stupid and make up shit.
People do make up shit. And again, going back to the kind of that feeder scandal that recently rocked us, people tend to take things and run with them. And the reason I try not to is because of this. Because the things that she does do that are problematic then get rolled in with the things that she didn't do that people claim she did. And so because a couple of things were ridiculous, now everything's ridiculous. And look, they make shit up. And that makes it a lot harder.
Anyways, it's not even worth entertaining that. I didn't want to talk about that shit.
Well, here
I
we
don't
are.
care about that. What people think of me of that way, you can call me what you want. You can think I'm racist, blah, 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 blah. Oh, God, you're so stupid. Some people are just stupid. Calling someone chinny, real intelligent, like honest.
Yeah, like this is where she did just get straight hate. I'm just gonna stop for a second.